Hi there, and welcome. Now it's time for America's favorite podcast, Leave Your Mark, with your host, Vince Cortez.
If it's fly, loose fitted, it's Cortez. If freeze and chub is in it, it's Cortez.
Leave Your Mark is about inspiring the world, one guest at a time.
Pass the word from Brooklyn to Pittsburgh, from urban to suburb, it's Cortez, you heard?
And here is our host, Vince Cortez.
This is Leave Your Mark. I'm Vince Cortez, and today's guest is Alex Garza. Alex is a two-time prostate cancer survivor, now 3 years in remission. He is a real estate agent in Las Vegas, Nevada, and he's married for 17 years to his lovely wife, Annie. They have 3 children, Chloe, Taz, and Melina. He is here to share his journey with me today. Welcome, Alex.
Vince, thank you so much for having me here today, and thank you guys for the important work that you guys are doing.
I appreciate that. And it's like we have stuff to do because of people like you and overcoming your issues. This is phenomenal. What I'd like to do is get right into it. So I like starting with your childhood. When we spoke earlier, you mentioned you were one of 7 children. So what was life like when you were growing up and that big of a household?
Well, the house was small, first of all. But no, yeah, I have 7 brothers and sisters, and I'll tell you, it was just a very loving environment. When you grow up with a lot of siblings, it's a lot of arguing, a lot of love, a lot of fighting, a lot of playing, but just an overall fantastic childhood.
Now, when you're growing up, what was like one of your fondest memories? I mean, there's probably a lot going on every day with that many kids. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind?
You know, I remember my parents used to leave from time to time on date night, and the kids would play this game called Sneak and Go, where we would reorganize all the furniture in the house. And we had a trailer home. And from the hallway to our parents' master bedroom, we would have to sneak while the other ones washed the dishes. And if someone heard us sneaking, they'd say, "Sneak and go," and they'd find us, and we'd have to go wash the dishes. So we just had a lot of fun with that growing up.
That's great. That's sort of like hide and seek in a different sort of way. There's a lot of people that get caught that there. 7. That's
well, the whole point of it is you did not want to get caught, because then you had to wash the dishes.
Oh, no, you don't want to have that happen. Yeah, I imagine you'd be awfully quiet avoiding that.
Well, we would try.
So now you're in your childhood. So you're getting into high school, and what area are you in Las Vegas, Nevada at this time in your life?
No, I actually grew up in a very small town north of here called Alamo, Nevada. And you're talking maybe 1,200 people back then, maybe 1,500 if you're pushing it. But it was just a small, close-knit community, a wonderful place to grow up. High school was small, about, 100, 150 kids. So everyone knew everyone.
Yeah, that's nice and intimate. Now, can you draw me a picture? I'm from the East Coast. So what was was there a lot of mountains there? Is it desert? What did it look like?
That's a great question. You know, it's actually in the middle of a desert. So if you can imagine what the Nevada desert looks like, and then right in the center of this valley, there's an underground river. So there's a stretch of green, probably, half a mile wide, that runs for about 40 miles.
Oh, wow. So it's like the city was built along the underground river.
Correct.
That's really interesting. That would be interesting to get photographs or get visuals of.
Yeah.
So now
a lot of farming, ranching. Yeah.
Now you're coming out of country style living. Do you go on to get an education? And if not, when did you start out your career?
Well, my parents owned a truck stop back then. We built that thing brick by brick. The family did. So when you say, what's it like having a large family? I think my parents just had us for labor, we built this fantastic business out there that we ran and owned and operated for, I'm going to say 35, 40 years. I left when I was about 20 years old, 22 years old. And then I moved to Las Vegas to go to school. Yeah.
So now you go to Las Vegas. What degree do you pick up over there?
Well, like most kids at that age, I bounced around a little bit. I was going to be a business major and conquer the world and, be the biggest business tycoon and in the globe. But I ended up actually ended up with a teacher's degree, a Bachelor of Science in Special Education.
That's interesting. Why did you choose the special education?
I just found that I had a knack and a love and a passion for teaching people. It's passion for education and kind of helping guide that next generation and form these young minds into something great, if I could.
That's probably that part of you being in the large family enabled you to connect with that. Because
Probably had, yeah, probably
my
had a little
father
bit to
was
do
in
with that.
teaching, and he was a high school principal, so you would see various levels of teachers based on their interests, not just because they were into math or science or whatever, but there was influence as to why they were, so you could understand that. Then with you, I think the larger family actually nourishes you a lot more. The more siblings you got,
Absolutely.
yeah, there, because you're coming and going and you're getting it from all angles. There's just never a dull moment.
Now, did you get into teaching? Are you into teaching?
I didn't. I got into business. I went into business marketing, and
Okay.
I really like the idea of being entrepreneurial and having my own time, and that's what attracted me to that. I can't say that I wasn't very well off until later on, because it takes you a while to get the right niche and dial in your business and so forth.
Connect with us on LinkedIn. Be our friend on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You are listening to Vince Cortez. We just want you to leave your mark.
So
Correct.
let's talk about, now you're off and running. So you have 3 children, and your mom and dad, you mentioned that your mom had gotten cancer, and that sounded like that was a very rough time in your life. So take me through the process of what happened there.
That is one of the most painful times in my life. I saw my mother at a very young age, relatively. She was, I think, 71, was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. But unfortunately, she caught it too late. She didn't get tested early. Like many of us, she just ignored the telltale signs and just didn't go get tested. I saw her battle ovarian cancer for a couple of years, very aggressive cancer, just ravished her body, but she was able to beat it. She overcame it at first. And then she was in remission for, I would say, about 6 months or 7 months. And then she got lung cancer, of all things. I don't think there was any correlation there, but she went through chemo with that. She was able to beat that. And then she was in remission for about 1.5 years. And then ovarian cancer came back, and ultimately that, is what claimed her life.
Wow.
But it was a 5-year battle, and I'm telling you, one of the strongest women I've ever met in my life. I could not have gone through what she went through. It was tough.
Now, at that time, had your father already passed, or was he still around?
At that time, my father was still around. My father recently passed last year due to, he had dementia, and then he contracted COVID. So, he just recently passed.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Now, you had mentioned during that time when your mother had cancer, that was shortly thereafter you found out you had cancer. Is that right?
Well, it was interesting. I think my mom saw the signs in me, frequent urination. And I would always complain that, I pee, but my bladder never empties. And she says, you need to go get tested. And, being, 46 years old, you think you're invincible. I said, there's no need for this.
Yeah, you're hitting stride at 40s, mid 40s.
Yeah. You're invincible.
Well, a little thing or two about life, but you still feel physically young enough to go after it. So
Correct.
Now you get the symptoms. So what are you doing? You see you're traveling, and sound like you did a little bit of like what your mom did. You didn't want to pay attention to it. So what happened there?
Yeah, I think we're a little stubborn. Well, at the age of 41 is where I started seeing the symptoms. And then we actually relocated to the Middle East for 4 years, chasing adventure. And so I kind of put those to the back of my mind, and I still had the symptoms. It was still, tough to pee and all these things, but I just attributed it to too much coffee, which is probably a mistake. So by the time my mother had convinced me to go get tested at the age of 46, it had spread to about 80% of my prostate. And so I'm glad I listened to her finally. That's an important lesson for everyone to learn here, is listen to your mother. And I went to the doctor, and I had an elevated PSA and difficulty with urination. And, you know, one thing leads to another. And
Now, was your the cancer's metastasizing? What are you going through physically? Because you got the body thing and then the mind thing. So we'll touch on what you're feeling or thinking after. But what was your body feeling like besides having the problems urinating?
well, you know, I was pretty physically active. You know, I was running a lot. I picked up jogging in the United Arab Emirates where I was living. And I was running 15, 20 miles, you know, in an outing. You know, I'd say 40, 50 miles a week. So I was really healthy. I just was having difficulty with urination. And
now, did you experience any fatigue or like muscle joint soreness, anything like those types of indicators?
Not initially, not until after. I experience that now, even in remission. You know, you get joint pain, you have muscle deterioration, a lot of cramping. But initially, not really. I was healthy. I was felt invincible, really. So when my mother was suggesting to go get tested, I thought she was, you know, a little bit crazy. I'm like,
it sounds like nonsense.
Exactly. And then I remember the doctor saying, well, let's check your PSA. And I mean, I didn't even know what that was. Public service announcement, you know?
Yeah.
And it came back elevated. And she goes, we have to send you for a biopsy. And that's not the most pleasant experience, as you know.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be.
And so, I mean, I agreed to it. And initially I was a little hesitant, but we agreed to it finally. And, you know, went through that process. And I just remember your world collapses when you get the diagnosis, you know, like.
Oh, yeah.
If you are listening from Australia, Florida, or just from around the corner,
From East Coast to West Coast outlets, if you're not into the dirty South straight, make a left and bout it.
contact us. Leave your mark with your host, Vince Cortez.
What was your first thought? Everybody that gets cancer has that initial chord that strikes. What was yours?
Well, I mean, it was fear. I don't know how else to put it. I've got 3 kids. I felt vulnerable, mortal, probably for the first time in my life. But it was just a split second, Vince. Like my personality and my mindset and the way that I've always approached life has always been very positive and with energy and happiness. And so I remember the doctor calling us into the room and he said, you know, I got something to tell you. And I knew right then, even before the words came out of his mouth. And he says, you know, you have cancer. And it was like your world turns black. And then all of a sudden, bam, there's brightness again. And I remember my first words out of my mouth is, how do I fight this? How do I beat it? And he goes, slow down there, Tiger.
Well,
He said,
you were ready mentally to engage right away, which is a really good sign.
Yeah. Well, with that, Vince, I was ready to attack it because I had a very strong support system. I wasn't ready. My wife was ready. We'd prepped the kids, my mother-in-law, father-in-law, you know, everyone, my family, my brothers, my sisters, they were behind me 100%. And so I was weak. They were strong, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Mhm.
The caregiver part is just so underestimated. I mean, these people, they deserve medals and badges and any type of award you can give them just for the love. And I mean, and sometimes they don't need to do anything other than just be there. I mean, I'm talking no words, nothing, just show up and sit there and just their presence ways in that healing process in a big way. Now, that size family, what was your religious upbringing like? Because it's going to come into play now. You know, your connection with your creator is going to be tested.
You know, it's interesting. We have a mixed family. I'm Christian, obviously. You know, I was raised here, and you know, we were raised. My parents are from Mexico, so it's a very Catholic Christian background. My wife is from India. She's Hindu, and so you know, you got these 2 cultures. One thing that we've been able, you know, over 17 years that we've been married, almost 18, is that there's this mutual respect and understanding that what we believe in is love, respect, support, kindness, you know, those type of values. And I remember when the doctor told me, you know, you have cancer, my wife was right by my side, her hand was on my knee, and it was just that little reassuring squeeze to my knee. that made the light come back on. And I just knew everything was going to be okay. There was never a doubt that I wasn't going to beat this. I was afraid, but there was never a doubt in my mind.
Now, in yours, do you you're going to get chemo treatments and things like this? Did you have portions of your prostate removed or no operation? What happened?
Well, we went through the different treatment options. The doctor suggested, just because of the advancement of my cancer, that I have a full prostate removal, which, mentally and as a man brings a whole other range of mental issues and performance issues and physical issues that comes with it. And then because of that, I didn't have to go through full chemo. I did go through, it was at Lupron, they call it, right? The hormone therapy treatment. And I mean, it was rough, and it's still rough because it still impacts you. And whenever a man has his prostate removed, there's just so many implications with that, and so many things that you have to overcome. And it ranges from your physical, health, to your sexual performance, to urination and leaking. And I mean, it's just a range of things that you have to overcome. And I'll tell you this, I also decided right then and there that it didn't matter what it was, I was going to speak openly and freely, because I felt that too many men hid, what happens, and then it makes it harder to overcome. When I was searching for help on the internet, nobody talks openly about what happens to the male body when you remove a prostate or when you're on Lupron. It impacts you a little bit, and you have to work hard to get over that.
Excuse me. I want to bring that up because you're now in remission. So what was the length of time that your whole battle went on?
It's interesting. It happened so quickly. My mother got me to go, I believe it was like in March of 2016. Yeah, 2016. And then by May of 2016, they found out that I had cancer and everything. The doctor said, we have to remove your prostate immediately. July 3rd of 2017, my prostate was removed. A couple of months later, the doctor said, congratulations, you don't have cancer anymore. You're clear, you're free to go. And, I think it made my mom very happy, and she finally passed on. She was holding on for me, I think.
That's amazing. So, part of the story right there. She was there the whole time.
She died knowing that I was cancer-free at the time. And then I was cancer-free. It was in remission for, I'm going to say 7, 8, 9 months. And I was feeling good. And then, you go for your checkups, and the doctor said, well, your PSA is elevating again, and we got to, check this out. And, unfortunately, the cancer had come back, and that started the radiation and the hormone therapy and all that fun stuff,
So you, from beginning to end, what was your length of time? About 3 years, 4 years?
About 3.5 years, more or less.
And now you're 3 years clear.
And now I'm, right at 3 years almost.
Yeah, we got to ring the bell.
Yes. Oh, I bring it.
That's always the best time.
If you have a story to share, tell us. How are you going to leave your mark? Contact us. Leave your mark with our host, Vince Cortez. Be our guest.
So I want you to bring us fast forward, because I didn't mention this earlier. You are a cancer advocate with Voices of Hopes. Can you share with me what your role in that is, and how that came to be?
Mm-hmm. Well, I work really closely with my cancer center, Comprehensive Cancer Centers of Nevada, and the head doctor over there, Dr. Rupesh Parikh, is a 20-year friend of mine, and they do absolutely fantastic work. And so they do a lot of volunteer work and awareness work in the community. So their marketing department, because I enjoy talking, and I think I'm a little bit eloquent, I don't know, they put me out in the community quite a bit. And basically, it's just creating awareness in the community. They paired me up with the American Cancer Society, went through their training. You get to attend these events, and you talk on behalf of cancer patients and survival and awareness, and try to raise funds. There is a desperate need for funding so that we can eventually eradicate, cancer from the face of the earth. Ultimately, Vince, and no offense to this, it would be great if we didn't need your services. If cancer was eradicated,
Yeah.
and we didn't have to do these type of interviews anymore.
Right. Yeah. No, there'd be no point in it.
Yeah.
I understand that kind of technology on the internet is just around the corner. Let's hope they let it get to us. Well, this is exciting. I want to find out, do you have a website and places we can direct listeners to, and see if we can help out in getting you some donations of some sort? We want to help participate in this. You could see that when I mentioned the voice of hope, you just lit up. So that's I could feel that.
So let me tell you what, look, cancer is never a good thing, but when you make the decision to advocate on behalf of cancer patients and to share your truth, to leave your mark, so to speak, the world just opens up to opportunities. And I've been very blessed and fortunate because I'm very open on Instagram and Facebook with everything that I do, with cancer, that I've been reached out to by NGO organizations in Nigeria, NGO organizations in India. As a matter of fact, after this, I'm doing another podcast for NGO out of India, and basically just trying to raise awareness. You caught me a little bit off guard because I have the website, but I don't have it memorized.
All right, well, don't worry about that part. You kind of touched on our final question, and that is, how would you like to leave your mark in this world?
That's a great question. When I was going through the Lupron and radiation, I put it up here that I wasn't going to let it stop my life. So I registered for a half marathon. I'm a runner. I'm a cyclist. I like to do those things, right? So I registered for a half marathon, and in the middle of this Lupron hormone therapy, your body is depleted and torn down and broken down. I ran this half marathon, and I cycled, I think, something like 50 miles just to prove to myself that I could do it. So when you ask, how do you want to leave your mark? I say, first of all, it's helping to create awareness, helping to eradicate this terrible disease, pushing people to get tested. But more importantly is this: whatever stage you're in, whether you're healthy, just diagnosed, or going through treatment, never give up hope, and to advise people to live your life with a purpose. Whatever you do, live your life with a purpose, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Today is the most important day. So just go out and do something fantastic and kind for somebody else.
I love it. I agree. 100%.
Thank you.
Alex, you're a brave man. I want to thank you again for coming by. And we'll get that information. We'll put it on the links and so forth below the video. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate your courage and your advocacy. You're an inspiration, and we need more people like you out there pushing. So be well.
Thank you.
And we'll be in touch, and be blessed.
And Vince, I would say we need more people like you, actually. What you're doing here is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for making a difference in the world and living your life with purpose, leaving your mark.
Thank you. I appreciate that as well. Thanks for listening to Leave Your Mark today. Tune into our next episode of Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortez. Be blessed.
You just left your mark. Thanks for listening. Listen to more episodes on demand. Just click Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortez.